So let me go over a few things. And then I definitely want to get into your comments as usual and all that good stuff. Here's the thing. Let me start by saying this. It's not as bad as people are making it out to be. It really is not. If you can give, I think the main thing is, which I totally understand. What's up, Rainer? How are you? I totally understand is everybody out? Everybody out? Because here comes spoilers. Oh, technically, this is not a spoiler because it was in the trailers. I think the main problem was the people had was Palpatine being back, right? And I get that. I do too. I don't really like that idea. This is the problem with The Last Jedi is it put us in this position, right? So, Palpatine being back was the biggest problem, I think. But if you can get by that, if you can accept that he survived somehow and there was peace for a long time after Anakin threw him over the thing in the Death Star, and you buy the theory that he did some kind of portal or whatever theory you want to go with, because they didn't really explain that right there. They didn't really explain how he survived. Was he alive? I didn't like the Snoke stuff. So there were definitely issues, no doubt about it. I knew he was a memory. Yeah, I mean, a physical thing. Yeah, I guess. He was kind of like a zombie at first. So I didn't like some of those things. But if you can get by that, the main part about Palpatine being the big bad again, then it was okay. It was okay. There was some great parts of this movie. There was some bad parts. I didn't like, Rey was a bit OP. She was a bit overpowered, but a lot of time has passed. I didn't like the opening crawl, just kind of straight out telling you Palpatine's back and whatever. And it has been apparently like a year or something. So they tried to go to the Leia thing, right? They tried to go have Leia be training her. And so Rey was a bit OP. There was some new Force powers. I don't really mind the new Force powers because, for example, if it's a video game that comes out, nobody has a problem with new Force powers. So I didn't mind that she was pretty powerful because if you remember Return of the Jedi, which this did obviously rhyme with, Luke was pretty damn powerful too. You saw that just by him force choking the guards as he walked into Jabba's palace, the Gamorrean guards. So he was pretty OP too without a real master there. You know what I mean? So I get that. I get people would be mad that she's a little OP because she was pretty powerful, but I also get, that Luke was too. So I don't have a big problem with that. I didn't have any real issues with Kylo. I think that's okay that he it kind of rhymed with Vader and almost in reverse. He was redeemed like Vader. So I don't have a big problem with that. It was almost in reverse, and I think he purposely did that. He was kind of redeemed by his father, whereas Vader was redeemed by his son. So I get that. I think that was a fine parallel. I have no problem with Kylo. By the way, I have no problem with any of the actors and all that good stuff as well, anything. So, Leia, I think Leia, I got to give them a pass on the Leia thing. They did what they could. I understand that, she obviously passed away and they had to use, recycled footage from The Force Awakens and a little from The Last Jedi, I assume. And but they kind of made it work. I didn't love it, but I will say that I was emotional when Leia died. When Han was there, talking, that was a good little surprise I enjoyed as a vision to Kylo. And then Luke actually apologized and essentially saying I was wrong. So you could tell they were trying to undo The Last Jedi. There was no doubt about it. So in my opinion, that's a good thing. There were a couple, like I said, it wasn't executed perfectly by any means. I thought Poe and Finn were better. I kind of liked, them, their relationship. There was enough comedy there. It wasn't overdone. I think they were fine. I think the thing with, there was a lot of overcorrecting there by JJ, but at least he tried to answer some questions. So I got to give him credit for that at least. This is all on Rian Johnson to me, and ultimately Kathleen Kennedy for letting Rian Johnson get away with all this bullshit anyway. You know what I mean? Because this movie should have been split in half, and the last movie should not exist, basically, is my opinion. So, that's the way I look at it. I think it's a good thing that they tried to undo The Last Jedi. You can't completely retcon it, obviously, because things happen that you can't ever let go of. The way Luke acted and the way they treated some characters and the side stupid mission to Canobite and all that stuff. But this one did okay. I think it was okay. I went in, I tried to be open-minded about it, And I don't hate it. I don't absolutely hate it. I don't absolutely love it, but I don't absolutely hate it. And I'll probably think about more things as we go. So anyway, I do agree. I think another thing was people were saying, there's a lot going on. There definitely is. I don't think it's too overbearing, though. I've seen movies like that before where there's so much going on, but they had to answer so much in 2.5 hours. There was just no way to slow it down. So I get that. Again, they were put in this position, and the Fandom Menace made this happen. You know what I mean? The Fandom Menace made this happen. I was an original member of that before it had a name, I think, with the whole Last Jedi thing especially. I mean, that's what made that happen. So they listened at least to fans. And I understand where people were saying about too much fan service. I thought it was fine. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. I think it's okay. I think the ending's fair for what they had to work with, because behind the scenes that Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams don't get along. I'm just sure of it. I don't know that for sure, obviously, but I think that's probably the case. Rian Johnson was more about, grandstanding and changing things just to be doing it, just to make a statement, and didn't worry about the story. They had no plan here, and that was the problem with Disney in the first place. The other movies have been great. So if you think about the whole Disney thing, I think Rogue One was outstanding. Han Solo was okay. The Force Awakens, I said that in that review years ago, that it was okay, even though it copied A New Hope. So you have to take into consideration, that this is what they had to work with when they called JJ back to do it. Now, I'm not a big fan of his either, but I just think that's just the way it is. So anyway, one more thing I will say is I understand the idea of, and this is the Palpatine thing a little bit too, is that it takes away from Anakin. Anakin is supposed to be the chosen one, and I get that. I totally get it. But the thing is, you got to think about is, it just to kind of counterbalance that, is that to me, the chosen one never made sense anyway. That was George Lucas's thing. He's already said that Anakin is the chosen one, and that stands, I think. But because the thing is, even if Palpatine survived, there was a period of time for all these years where there was peace. There was a new republic, right? So he still made the choice, regardless if Palpatine survived and did his Sith thing and warped over to the unknown regions of space. He still made the choice. Anakin was still redeemed. Anakin still essentially destroyed them, at least for a while. He made the choice to do so. So I don't think it necessarily completely takes away from him being the chosen one. If that makes any sense. So I'm just trying to think about it fairly. I didn't want to go into it just closed-minded, saying it's going to suck, I hate it, whatever. And so that's the basic. That's the basis of it. I think it's okay. I think it's okay, and it's not as bad as people make it out to be. Real quick, I will say one thing, because here's the thing. I said this on the video I did on Patreon about, so-called professional critics. If you believe this, so let me switch this over to really quick, and then I'll get to your questions. I apologize. Just want to get this out of the way. If I go to over here to Rotten Tomatoes, I think I have this up over here on the right screen. All right, this is the current score here from critics and the audience. So we got 57% from critics. They hate it. 86% from the audience. I always go by the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, right? Because that's real people. They're not professional critics, so-called professional critics. Are not paid by anybody to have a certain opinion. If you believe, now here's The Last Jedi. 91% of the critics loved it. 43% of the audience hated it. So, if you believe this over here with The Last Jedi, why would you not believe this for The Rise of Skywalker? So these are real people putting in their opinions, and it's almost at 90%. So the same people that hated The Last Jedi, or that loved The Last Jedi, I should say, right here, the critics on the tomato meter here, they loved it. The same people hate The Rise of Skywalker. To me, that's a good thing. To me, that makes sense to me, right? So I think that's a good thing to try to undo what they did. So I don't see a big problem with that. Again, there were a lot of problems, but there were also a lot of good things. Anyway, that's how I feel about it overall. So yes, I'm sorry. I know I missed a lot of comments here, but I wanted to kind of just get that little mini rant out of the way. Exactly, Seamus. Critics have Dave Chappelle's at a 0, and we know good and damn well that most everybody loved it because he wasn't afraid to just tell jokes. Strange TV, I like The Last Jedi over this. See, I mean, that's fine. I mean, that's the thing. Everybody can have their opinion. There's, I'm not with those people who, think you're stupid if you like the movie that I didn't, or vice versa. I don't go that route. Just give you my honest opinion, and all opinions are welcome here because everybody has a right to one.